Hello, we are students of Charles University from Depstar, and we are from Department of Computer Engineering, 4th sem, and we have prepared 10 models of software engineering processes, and we are gonna explain about that models. So basically, software process model is a structured approach to the development of software. It provides set of guidelines and best practices for organizing, planning, and controlling the process of developing an information system. So different process models prescribe various ways to organize and the phases of software development and the order in which they are carried out and relationships between them. So basically it says these 10 models provides us a way or a guideline to the developing the softwares in different industries, and it guides us a way that software is made. So I'm gonna explain about waterfall model and increment model. So first let's talk about waterfall model. So it's a type of software development life cycle where a process executes in a sequential manner. It's also known as a linear sequential life cycle model, and the development of each step is dependent on the last stage of implementation. So basically it says that next step of development of that software strictly depends on last stage of development, like analysis. Then if analysis is over, then and then only we can implement next stage, design, like implementation, testing and maintenance. So let's take a brief about diagram. So let's take brief about a diagram of the waterfall model. So it basically provides a schematic and visual representation of the software development process, and basically gives us an idea about the sequential approach model and which each phase of the project completed before moving on to the next one. Like I said, an overview where one stage of development can be executed when last one is completed. So the waterfall model involves a sequential approach to the software development, and where each phase of project is completed before moving on the next one. So the phases include requirement gathering, analysis, designing, implementation of code and testing of code, and then when it gets delivered, then maintaining it. So the first one, requirements, or we can say analysis. It involves gathering and documenting the requirements of client, or we can say our consumers. Second one is design. So design involves creating a blueprint or software based on the gathered requirements, or how it will be developed according to requirements given to us. Third one is implementation. It's the actual coding and implementation of the software process that are gonna develop in our model. So the second last is testing. It's includes testing various inputs and how our code will behave when it gets delivered and gets used, or and also includes debugging and other errors. The last one is maintenance of our code. So when it gets deployed to our client or our consumers, it's crucial to maintain our code and our application which we have delivered to ensure good user experience of our clients or our consumers. So it's like addressing issues, making updates, providing an ongoing support. So let's discuss about advantages of our waterfall model. So first is simple. So it's basically very simple and easy to understand and use and develop a software with waterfall model. And second one is easy to manage. So it's easy to manage because of the rigidity of the model and each phase of specific deliverables and review processes. Third one is phases are process. So in this type of model, processes are phases are processed and completed at one at a time. Like I said in overview and also in the explanation of diagram. The last one is works well for smaller projects because requirements are very well understood in smaller scale projects rather than larger scales where requirement can be changed in development cycles. So let's see about disadvantages of waterfall model. First one is it's very difficult to go backwards in a process. Like many times I said that if a stage is not completed in our waterfall model, we can go in the next stage of implementation, and it's very difficult to go backward and change something that was not well throughout out of the our concept stages. Second one is no actual working output until the last stage. So we will not get our output or a working code until the last stage of testing is implemented and it gets used by our consumers or delivered to our clients, and they until it's debugged and like also. Third one is high risk. It contains high amount of risks and uncertainty in this model. Fourth one is not for complex models, like we discussed in advantages. It's not good for larger scales and complex models where requirements can be changed and we have to go in our previous stages of implementation of our software development. Last one is not for changing requirements. So it's basically not suitable for projects where requirements are at moderate high risk of changing, or our client is updating its requirements.
तो कहीं तो खाता नहीं बनेगा चालू करो
So let's see about applications of waterfall model. So it's primarily used for development of enterprise applications like human resources management system, supply chain management system, customer relationship management system, and inventory management systems. And it's often used in safety critical systems like such as aerospace and defense systems because of its emphasis on through testing and its ability to clearly define the steps involved in the software development process. So let's see my second model, incremental model. So incremental model is a type of software development life cycle where the process executes in a sequential manner, and it's also known as the successive version of the model 2. And the development of each step is directly associated with the previous phase, like we seen in the waterfall model. The next phase starts only after the completion of the previous phase. So as we can see, it's very likely to be waterfall model, but efficient version of the waterfall model. So let's see about diagram of the incremental model. The incremental model diagram provides a schematic and visual representation of the software development process, and it's basically on the idea of a sequential approach with each phase of the project and completed before moving on the next one. So the incremental model involves a sequential approach to the software development where each phase of the project is completed before the moving on the next stage, as exactly like waterfall model. And we can't go to the direct testing or design development we get our requirements from the client or our consumers, where each phase so the phases include requirements gathering and analysis, first one. Second one is design and implementation. So in this stage we mostly provide our designer project, how it will be developed and how it will look like. And next is testing. So, in testing we include debugging of our developed software, and weak points are our software. The last one is implementation of our developed software. So each phase must be completed before the next phase can begin, and there is no overlapping in the phases. So let's see about advantages of our incremental model. So first one is it's easy for breakdown. So it is suitable for dividing and it depends on a divide and conquer approach, as the requirements are gets divided in, and then design, developed and implement and tested. Second one is lower cost of implementation. So the second one is the lower cost of lower cost of development of our software. Third one is it can detect errors easily because core modules are used by the consumer from the beginning of the phases, and then these are tested. And the last one is good when requirements are known. And the last advantage of incremental model is it's good to use when requirements are known to what requirements of our clients and our consumers. Let's see about disadvantages of incremental model. It requires good planning and designing in the initial stages of our model. Second one is costlier than waterfall model. Third one is definitions should be clear and complete, as it gets in next stages. Fourth one is increased complexity. So as a project is developed incrementally, it can become more complex as each increment is added. Next one is higher cost. Since each increment requires its own planning, designing, coding and testing, the deployment of the overall cost of this project model is higher than with the other development methodologies. Last one is difficulties in tracking processes. So with multiple increments being developed and simultaneously, it can be challenging to track the process of the project as whole.
So hello, my ID is 22DCE069 and today I am going to explain about the prototype model. So the prototype model is a type of software development life cycle where a prototype of the end product is first developed, tested and refined as per customers' feedback repeatedly until a final acceptable prototype is achieved. This model is used when the customers do not know the exact project requirement beforehand. The system is partially implemented before or during the analysis phase, thereby giving the customer an opportunity to see the product early in the life cycle. So now, first we see the diagram. So the prototype model diagram provides a systematic and visual representation of the software development process. Okay, so the prototype model involves a sequential approach to software development where each phase of project is completed before moving on to the next one. So now, first is identifying the needs and limitation. Identify the vision, criteria and limitation. We take into consideration the details of instance, a specific size or budget. Then next comes the research. So we research if for the product exists already, if we discuss the needs and want of the product. Then next comes the brainstorm. So we develop the idea by making a few different models and building on ideas. Then the next step is plan and sketch it out. So we have choose a solution with promise. We consider all factors of every model. Then the next part is create. So it's a time to design the prototype and bring the idea to life. Next step is test and evaluate. So we now test the prototype to evaluate what works, what does not work, and what could be improved. The second last is fix and improve. So we identify and redesign parts that did not work, and the very last stage is completion, where our idea is incomplete. Okay, so now we are going to discuss the advantages of the prototype model. So the first advantage is flexible. So yes, this model is flexible in design. Second is easy to detect errors. It can easily detect the errors in the model. The third is missing function can be found easily. So in this model we can find the missing function very easily due to these steps. Fourth one is scope of refinement. So there is a scope of refinement, meaning new requirements can be easily found. So fifth one, reuse. So it can be reused by the developers for more complicated projects in the future. And the last one is customer satisfaction. It ensures a greater level of customer satisfaction and comfort. It helps developers and users both understand the system better. Now let's talk about the disadvantages. So first disadvantage is costly. Yes, this model is very costly. The next one is poor documentation. It has poor documentation because of continuously changing customer requirements. Because we get the prototype first, then we implement it later. So yes, we get some errors in documentation. Next is variation in requirements. So yes, there may be too much variation in requirements because prototype is created first. Then fourth is customer demand. Yes, customers sometimes demand the actual product to be delivered soon after seeing an early prototype, which is not possible because we have to go all the step by step for the final product. The next one is suboptimal solution. So there may be suboptimal solution because of developers in hurry to build prototypes. Okay, sixth one is customer satisfaction. It is advantage as well as disadvantage because customer may not be satisfied or interested in the product after seeing the initial prototype of the model. The seventh one is uncertainty. There is uncertainty in determining the number of iterations after seeing the prototype. And the last one is inadequate problem analysis. There may be incomplete or inadequate in problem analysis. Okay, so now let's talk about the application of the prototype models. So the prototype model finds diverse real-world applications across various domains of software development. In software development projects, it aids in creating user-centric solutions by iterative refining functionality and design based on user feedback. It widely used in fields like game development and web development. Okay, so that's all about the prototype model. Okay, so now let's discuss the iterative model. The iterative model is a type of software development lifecycle where the process executes in a sequential manner. It is also known for a successive version model. The development of each step is directly associated with the previous phase. The next phase starts only after completing the previous phase. So now let's discuss the diagram. Okay, so now let's understand the diagram. So the iterative model involves a sequential approach to software development where each phase of project is completed before going to the next one. So the phase includes plan. So first the planning is executed in the iterative model. Then the next comes the design part. The design part where the prototype model is being designed in the design part. Then we move to the development portion where the code is executed and the real product is being started developing. Next comes the testing part where the debug is happening and we test whether the model is working or not or what are the faults. Next comes the deployment part where we deploy the model to the market and we wait for the reviews of the customer and what are the new things we can add to it. And the review, as I said, we can take the reviews from the customer or other employees and we can get the better understanding of the product. And the last one is launch, where we finally launch and the product is ready. Okay, so now let's talk about the advantages of the iterative model. First, it's quickly. So yes, the model produces a working software much quickly and early during the SDLC. Okay, the second advantage is flexible. So yes, this model is very flexible as new functionality can be added to it at any time of the development. So the third advantage is cheap. Yes, the model is considerably cheap as it is less costly to change requirements as compared to the other process models as we discussed earlier. So now let's discuss the disadvantages. So the first one is requirements not gathered. So problems pertaining to the system architect can come up because all the requirements are not gathered upfront. Second is not good for small projects. So it is not good choice for small projects. Third one is more resource intense. So more resource intense than the waterfall model, and it's the disadvantage of this. And the last one is risk analysis. Risk analysis require highly qualified specialists to check the risk in your system, which is a disadvantage of the iterative model. And last, let's talk about the applications of the iterative model. So the iterative model finds diverse real-world application across various domains of software development. In software development projects, it aids in creating entire-centric solution by iterative refining functionality and design based on user feedback. It is widely used in fields like game development and web development. In summary, the iterative model is well suited for projects where flexibility, adaptability, continuous improvement based on our user feedback are critical for success. Thank you.
My name is Syed Patel. I am going to talk about fifth model, spiral model. So first of all, I am going to talk about overview. So the spiral model is a risk-driven software. So the spiral model is a risk-driven software development process model. It combines elements of both the waterfall model and the iterative model. Each phase of spiral model in software engineering begins with the design goal and ends with the client reviewing the process. So software engineering begins with the design goals and end with the client reviewing process. The spiral model is ideal for large complex projects because continuous prototyping and evaluation help mitigate any risks. So now I am going to talk about the diagram. So basically we have a diagram. So we have four phases in the diagram: development and testing, identify risk, determine objects, and plan the next iteration. So we have here diagram. You can see it properly. It is quite difficult to read, but okay. So basically, the spiral model diagram provides the systematic and visualization representation of the software development process. In its diagrammatic representation, it looks like a spiral with many loops. So risk analysis, sites based, test plan, development plan, implement integration. Here we have concept of requirements, requirement plan, and concept operations. So in concept of requirement drafts, and उसके अंदर टेस्ट और कोड, और ये इम्प्लीमेंटेशन और इंटीग्रेशन तो है, और कंसेप्ट ऑफ रिक्वायरमेंट इस तरह है, तो रिस्क एनालिसिस सबसे ज़्यादा है, और प्रोटोटाइप. So basically this is four phases. So the exact number of loops of the spiral is unknown and can vary from project to project. So next, explanation of diagram. The spiral model involves a sequential approach to software development, where each phase of a project is completed before moving on to the next one. The phase include planning, risk analysis, engineering, and evaluation. Each phase must be completed before the next phase can begin, and there is no overlapping in these all phases. Okay, so we have here advantages and disadvantages. We have written here we have four advantages and disadvantages. So it have high amount of risk analysis, hence avoidance of the risk is enhanced. It is good for large projects, large and mission critical projects. It has strong approval and documentation control. Additionally, functionality can be added at a later date. Software is produced early in the software life cycle. Okay, so these are 4-5 advantages we have covered in our video, and now I am gonna review disadvantages of it. So it is not suitable for small projects. Okay? It is not suitable for small projects as it is expensive, because it is very much expensive. We cannot afford it. It is much more complex than other SDLC. SDLC means software development life cycle. So it is much more complex than other SDLC model. Then the process is complex too, and it is too much dependable on the risk analysis, and it is too much dependable on the risk analysis and requirements highly specific expertise And the last is it have difficulty in time management. So I have covered few of advantages and disadvantages in this video. So last but not least, I am gonna talk about applications. The spiral model is ideal for large complex projects because continuous prototyping and evaluation helps mitigate any risk. Its risk handling capability makes it ideal for critical projects. The spiral model example can be software related to the health sector, game development, space exploration, etc. So I am done for the spiral model. Thank you. So I am gonna talk about my next model, rapid application model. So in this model, now we are looking into overview. So first of all, the RAT model is a software development methodology that emphasizes rapid interactions and user involvement. It targets at developing software in the short span of time. Uh, it uses short cycle to create working prototypes and refine them based on iterative feedback. So RAD's flexibility adapts to changing requirements, encourages early users engagement, and reduces targeting errors. So this was the overview of rapid application model. So now I am going to talk about a diagram for it. So here is a diagram. As you can see, the RAD model. The RAD model diagram provides a systematic and visualization representation of the software development process. It focuses on input-output source and destination of the information. It emphasizes on delivering projects. It emphasizes on delivery projects in a small pieces. So as we can see, here is defining the project requirement first. After that, we are going to user designs. So in user design, there is a prototype. The next one is a iterate. Here is iterate, and is a test. So as we can see, it is a user design cycle. So prototype, after the test, iterate, again it is a cycle. Okay. So after we go next, we have rapid construction feedback, and it again checks user design because rapid constructions, and it is a feedback. So we can see this, and after that completes. It is a finalize the product and implementation. So it is the last, and now I am gonna explain this diagram. So the RAD model involves the sequential approach to software development, where each phase of the project is completed before moving on the next one. Okay. Then the phase includes business modeling, data modeling, process modeling, and the application generation, and also testing and turnover. Okay. Then each phase must be completed before the next phase can begin, and there is no overlapping in the phase. Okay. So now we have to talk about advantages. So first of all, RAD model is flexible. Okay. RAD model is flexible and adaptable to the changes. It is useful when you have to reduce the overall project risk. So as we all know, rapid application model is about project risk. So it is useful when you have to reduce the overall project risk, and also it is adaptable and flexible to change. Okay, and then it is even easier to transfer deliverable as they happen, and it reduces the development time, and also it increases the reusability of features. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about disadvantages. So the disadvantages, we have few of them. Now we are going to looking into them. So first disadvantage is the RAD model can't be used for smaller projects. As you can see, it is for only big projects and it has this. So RAD model can't be used for smaller projects, and it is not applicable compatible with RAD. Okay. Then after we have a disadvantage, like when technical risk is high, it is not suitable, and also it requires the highly skilled designers. Okay, so it is not for low skilled designers, it is for highly skilled designers. So we have to prepare for it. If we don't if we okay, just forget about that. And it is also high dependency on the modeling skills. So as you can see, for this we have to consider modeling skills as it is. And now last but not least, applications. So the RED model allows software engineers to make multiple iterations and update to software in a faster manner and without starting from scratch each time. As a result, final outcome is more quickly focused and meets the end user's needs. Okay, so this was it. This is my two models. So thank you, ma'am.
So next model is agile model, and let's start with overview. The agile model is a software development methodology that emphasizes rapid iteration and user involvement. It targets at developing software in short span of time. It uses short cycle to create working prototype and refine them based on iterative feedback. So next is a diagram of agile model. So next topic is the diagram of agile model. So first phase is requirement gathering, next phase is test, deployment, then feedback, build and design. So we in a agile model diagram, the agile model involves a sequential approach to software development where each phase of the project completed before moving on to the next one. The phases include requirement gathering, design requirement, construction, testing, deployment and feedback. Each phase must complete before the next phase can design, and there is no overlapping in the phase. So next is the advantages of agile model. The agile model is flexible and adaptable to change. It is easier to transfer. It reduces development time. It increases reusability of features. And next is the disadvantages of agile model. The agile model can't be used for smaller projects. Not all application is compatible with agile model. When technical risk is high, it not suitable. So next is the application of agile model. The agile model allows software engineer to make multiple iteration and update to a software in a faster manner without starting from each scratch time. As a result, the final outcome is more equality, focus and meets the end user needs.